That's right, today we are reacting to Dallas of the Chaos of Fragrances. I don't think I've had any interactions with Dallas, but he seems like a cool dude, a very laid-back reviewer. We've got a good video today. It's called 10 Fragrances That Leave an Intoxicating Scent Trail. Should be fun to react to. It's one of his most popular videos, but bear in mind this video was recorded 3 years ago, so it's likely that Dallas's opinions have changed. Let's begin.
Let's review Mr. Romantic by Atrium, aka School of Scent. This is brilliant, this is impressive, it's dense, it's thick, it's got character with the floral notes, it's interesting with the medicinal side of things, and it's got a touch of cardamom that just gives it that little bit of spice kind of maneuver. I really do like this. Omar, congratulations, brother. This, honestly, check this out. This is a great fragrance.
I know. You want to be that dude who, when you walk into a room, you turn people's heads. As you walk by, you're going to be casting this nice, strong, seductive scent trail that's going to be having everyone's attention.
Now, a caveat to that is, it's nice to have a head turner fragrance, things that grab people's attention, but just make sure you're not inconsiderate when wearing your fragrance. I hate being trapped in a train carriage with a guy wearing the strongest oud in the middle of summer and the air conditioning isn't on. That is not cool. You are head turning for the wrong reason, so people can just give you evil eyes.
Let's go and jump right into this. Starting off with the first fragrance on this list, that one is Yves Saint Laurent Rive Gauche Pour Homme. So I love Rive Gauche Pour Homme. This has become one of my personal favorites. This is kind of known as one of the best barbershop fragrances out there. And I'll be honest with you, barbershop fragrances didn't catch my interest until recently. I didn't think it was going to be something that I was into. I didn't really think I was going to like them that much, but I've really fallen in love with these classic fragrances.
Yeah, Rive Gauche is considered one of the best barbershop fragrances of all time. It was made by YSL around 20 years ago, I think 2003, and I believe Tom Ford himself had a part to play with this fragrance because this fragrance feels like it's what inspired later on Beau de Jour as well as Fougère d'Argent in the Tom Ford line. So I believe he was the creative director of YSL back then. He released fragrances like M7 and Jazz. So this was back when YSL was really popping off with their creativity actually, and I think Tom Ford is to be thanked for that. I actually used to own a tin can version of this fragrance and it was phenomenal. It was very creamy, very traditional. I don't feel like barbershop fragrances like that exist anymore, which is very sad. So that tin can version was considered the best version of it. This is even later on, this square version came afterwards, but even that's discontinued now. So unfortunately this fragrance no longer exists, but yes, the hype was real for this. I really like this fragrance. If you kind of want to recreate that effect, then yes, I recommend Beau de Jour, which is sort of like a more sweet, warm, amber version of Rive Gauche. Not as good, but still very good in its own right.
Up next, we have another fragrance that kind of fits into Yves Saint Laurent Rive Gauche category. That one is Chanel Platinum Egoiste. So this is another scent that I absolutely love. Soon as I got my hands on this bottle and smelled it, I fell in love. I loved it right away. I knew this fragrance was perfect for me and really fit my taste very well. This kind of, again, fits into somewhat of that barbershop type of category. It just smells like a gentleman. It smells like success.
I would definitely classify Platinum Egoiste as a barbershop fragrance. It is very sharp, clean lavender from the 90s. It's sort of that style, that decade, but it smells like a classic, nothing that's outdated. I think it's very much still relevant today. It is a metallic barbershop fragrance, and I think it's sad that more brands don't do metallic approaches to fragrances. We sort of have Tom Ford's Metallique, which wasn't a very good release, honestly, but this is a classic. This is a gentlemanly, more mature fragrance. I think you should be at least 35 years old and above. He has fantastic performance, around 10 hours with a medium to loud projection. I think it's the perfect office fragrance as long as you don't overspray.
Moving up next here, we have Baccarat Rouge 540. So this one is going to be a little bit more expensive. This one comes in at a little bit over $300 for the 70 ml bottle size at retail. You can kind of get this cheaper in some other places, but talking about retail is going to run you a little bit more money.
So yeah, Baccarat Rouge, all of us know it already. I think it's definitely becoming a little bit too popular. You do smell it everywhere. In London, for example, I can always smell, pretty much every time I go to London, I'm guaranteed to get this hitting my face. And I think it definitely fits this video. It does leave an intoxicating scent trail. I still love this fragrance. I think Baccarat Rouge 540, people who are into perfumery and the creativity of it should collect it to get a really good example of how creative a perfumer can get. I think this is one of Francis Kurkdjian's best creations. I know it likes to get a lot of hate online, but I do not think it's warranted. I think it's a masterpiece, and I think it will get you an intoxicating scent trail and grab people's attention.
Moving up next, we have Dior Homme Intense. So, another one of my personal favorites. This is probably one of my favorite designer fragrances that I own. It's up there. I'm not saying it's my number one favorite because it's probably not. I do have a lot of fragrances, and I have a lot of them, or at least a decent amount of them that I really, really like. So I'm not going to say this is my number one favorite designer, but it's close.
I would agree with that. I don't think it's my top favorite designer fragrance. I don't actually wear it that much myself. It's not really my style, but I can still objectively say that it is a masterpiece, and I still think it is one of the best designer fragrances ever created. I actually prefer Dior Homme Original personally, but yeah, Dior Homme Intense is a really creative, powdery, warm, romantic fragrance for guys who really want creative perfumery. Iris is one of the most tricky notes in men's perfumery to utilize because it does smell a little bit feminine naturally, but Dior are masters of doing it through the Dior Homme line. So I definitely recommend Dior Homme Intense. If you are heavily reliant on designers in your collection, you kind of want to start going into niche, this is definitely a good gateway fragrance for doing that.
Moving up next, we have Creed Aventus.
I'm going to stop right there. I don't think this leaves an intoxicating scent trail. Don't waste your money. I think Creed Aventus is too much of a risky gamble these days. You may or may not get a good batch, but you have to risk £250. I don't think it's worth it. Let's move on. Also, does anyone else think Dallas has a really intense setup here? It's a very atmospheric mood lighting in the background. He's very close to the camera. He's outdone me. I thought I'd go too close to the camera, but actually Dallas has got on a very intense video setup here.
Up next, we have Armani Code Absolu. So I love this fragrance. I've really been enjoying this one. Really, really nice tonka bean vanilla sweet fragrance. And this one, I'll be honest, projection isn't really the best. And I talked about that in my review. But I will say, the scent trail that this one leaves is incredible. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier.
So this is 3 years ago this video was recorded. Unfortunately, I believe Armani Code Absolu is discontinued. It's always the best ones that get discontinued. It's very sad. Armani Code Absolu was a mature man's vanilla fragrance. I actually got very loud projection of it. I thought it was quite a strong fragrance. Medium to loud projection, 12 hours longevity. Mature suede mixed with vanilla. Very sweet, powdery, intoxicating, but still professional. I kind of felt like it was the vanilla fragrance a sophisticated gentleman could wear to the office as long as you don't overspray. I actually had a friend I recommended this fragrance to, and when he first got it, he loved the scent profile, but he wasn't getting any compliments when wearing it. And I asked him, how are you applying it? Why aren't you getting any compliments? Because I feel like it's quite a good compliment getter. He was saying, he was applying 8 sprays, and he works at a hospital. And I was like, yeah, bro, you're not getting compliments because you are killing people. And I told him, tone it down, bring it down to 3 sprays, and as soon as he did, he got compliments. So this is the kind of fragrance, if you're going to wear it in the work environment, do not overspray.
Up next, we have Dior Sauvage Eau de Parfum. So, the good old EDP of Sauvage. Now, you may be asking, why the EDP? Why isn't it the Eau de Toilette? Why isn't it the Parfum? Why isn't it the very cool spray? Why is it the EDP? And to be honest with you, I don't fully know. I've tested all these fragrances. I mean, the EDT I've had a ton of experience with that fragrance. I own 5 bottles of the Eau de Toilette. I've worn a ton of it, so I know how that one behaves. And that one does have really, really strong projection, but it doesn't necessarily leave like a nice scent trail behind me.
In my experience, the EDT and the EDP both got me a lot of compliments. Actually, the EDP is one of the most complimented fragrances in my collection. It's one of the first fragrances I got when I started working outside of university. And I think it's my favorite version of Sauvage currently, even with the elixir that's come out now since this video was uploaded. The EDP gets that nice mass appeal of the original Sauvage, but adds its own sophistication and classiness with more warm and intoxicating spicy scents. So the EDP gets a nice balance between performance, mass appealing, as well as creativity. And that's why it's my current favorite. I think it's a little bit underrated in the community.
Up next, we have Yves Saint Laurent La Nuit de l'Homme. So this one gets a lot of hate nowadays for its performance issues, quote unquote, and also the fact that it is very popular. So here's the thing with La Nuit de l'Homme. This never had great performance to begin with. I own the first formulation batches, the 4-digit OG batches of La Nuit de l'Homme, and guess what? Those aren't beast mode on my skin. They sit relatively close to the skin for the most part, and they last 7, 8, 9 hours or so on average. Nothing crazy.
That is really interesting. I'm really surprised to hear from his experience about the vintage formulation. But 7 to 9 hours is very good for a date night fragrance. So maybe that's why people, you know, that would have been acceptable performance with La Nuit de l'Homme. And later on, people said it's about 4 hours. That's kind of what I got with the current formulations. Now, of course, Bleu Electrique exists, which I believe is currently on sale in the Tina. So if you're in the UK or EU, you can get that. Someone messaged me on Instagram telling me that, so thank you whoever sent me that. I think that's the version I recommend. Even that has like 6 to 8 hours longevity, but that's perfect for how sexy this scent DNA is. That 6 to 8 hours is perfect. Even the 4 hours original La Nuit de l'Homme is still worth getting. I think it's a masterpiece. Like, sometimes you just gotta reapply. You just gotta say, forget it, I'm just gonna carry the bottle in my bag, whatever, and just reapply. Some fragrances are that sexy.
Up next, we have Mancera Cedrat Boise. So I love Cedrat Boise. This is a work of its own. This a lot of times gets compared to Aventus, which we talked about earlier. You know, it kind of has just a slight similarity to Aventus in the opening, but after that, it's its own fragrance, 100%, completely its own original thing. And the scent trail that this one leaves, it's amazing. I love this scent. I always forget how much I like Cedrat Boise. I kind of forget that I have it and I don't wear it as much as I really should.
I often didn't wear the original that much, but I would still say it was easily my most complimented fragrance in my entire collection. The original screw cap, extremely strong stuff, like 14 hours plus longevity, really loud projection. Other people were loving it when I was walking past them, but I was not enjoying it as a wearer because I actually thought it was too strong, funnily enough. And Cedrat Boise also won our public reactions video against Mont Blanc Explorer and Aventus. So it's definitely a very mass appealing fragrance. I like the fact that they kind of toned down the strength of it, honestly, and I actually prefer the intense version of Cedrat Boise now. That is the version I recommend. It's still a fantastic, versatile, all-year signature to wear if you want a masculine, woody citrus cologne. I always say it's the Dior Sauvage of the fragrance community now, in my opinion.
And finally, the last fragrance we have is Ultra Male. This one leaves an incredible scent trail. You guys already know. Super, super strong, super, super potent, and it wisps behind you for a long time, basically for miles, to pretty close. I mean, this one really is strong. It's got that vanilla, that pear, lavender. There's a whole bunch going on in this scent. There's a lot of cinnamon as well. Just leaves a great scent trail behind you. Smells very alluring and just amazing.
Yeah, Ultra Male 3 years ago, I think would have been a strong recommendation. I think nowadays the bubblegum genre of fragrances in general is sort of going out of fashion. I kind of think the new Le Male Elixir smells more exciting and sexy. I think you should check that out if you want a good clubbing fragrance, or of course Azara the Most Wanted. Ultra Male is still fantastic though, and I can see why Dallas added it to his list.
So guys, there you have it. That was my video on 10 fragrances that leave the best scent trail.
And there you have it, guys. What are your thoughts on Dallas as a reviewer? Do you like his video reviews? I think he's a really cool guy. He shares a lot of valuable knowledge to the fragrance community. If you haven't already, of course, go check out his channel. I'll leave a link to the original video in the description, and subscribe to him if you'd like to. Dallas, I hope you see this video and tell us, do you still agree with your own list or not? Do the rest of you watching this video agree or disagree with Dallas's top 10 list? And would you put any fragrances different to this list now? Bearing in mind, of course, it's been 3 years since it was uploaded. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our other reaction videos to other reviewers. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.